All right, all right, all right. What is going on, Haunt Nation? It's your boy Ant. It is the middle of the night, and it is way too fucking cold to be doing this bullshit outside. So I am foregoing my normal cigar. I am drinking a beer, which is not unlike me, although sometimes it's whiskey. I do like whiskey. Um, anyway, but I am drinking a beer, so that's something adultish, right? Um, and this is going to be a review for what is or was the last haunt of the season, which is Brighton Asylum for the 2024 season. Brighton Asylum, as you know, I've been there many, many times. One of my favorite local haunts. It is in Passaic, New Jersey. Now, there is parking on site, which is free. There's also neighborhood parking around. When I went, the lot was pretty fucking full, which is surprising to me. Oh, yeah. Because I went kind of late, right? I went on Friday night, with Saturday being the last night of the season, which you would know if you saw my goodness, my Instagram post saying to check it out the last day that it was open. But the parking lot was rather full. So I was kind of surprised. I was really expecting the line to be a lot longer than it was. And then I was pleasantly surprised that the line wasn't that long. So kudos. Now, they do sell tickets online. I don't know what the online prices are. I did not buy my tickets online this year. I think they're variable. I bought my ticket at the box office. Box office is cash only. Luckily, I had cash on me. Otherwise, I just would have went on my phone and bought an online ticket anyway. But the ticket did cost me $55 at the box office. So there is that. Yeah. So the parking lot was full, right? And I mentioned that. And I believe, my belief is, they've actually added, well, that's not my belief, that's a fact, that they've actually added a lot of stuff to their haunt, right? So they have a few new escape rooms. They have like 5-minute escape rooms. It says 4 5-minute escape rooms. I only saw 2, I think. 2 of the 5-minute escape rooms. I just wandered over and looked, and there's a line, there's a queue for them. Apparently, you have to have tickets to go into them, experience them, what have you. I didn't. I was just being curious because I wasn't sure if it was a photo op space or not. Now, that said, there are a couple photo op spaces near at least one of the escape rooms, which looked like it was a trailer that looked like it was some kind of like a fallout shelter kind of thing. But anyway, there were a couple photo ops near there. There's a photo op in front of the whole queue. There was a photo op off to the side, which has been there for a long while. The Scooby-Doo and Friends in the mystery van. Zombified, of course. So they do have axe throwing, which is indoors somewhere. They have a horror museum, which I did not go in either. And they had a couple of carnival type games, which were, appropriately themed for Halloween, horror themed, what have you. I didn't play any of those either. Strictly there to go to the haunted house, and I had places to be, i.e. work, because without work, I can't pay for these fucking tickets. Because haunts are not cheap. Not anymore. Well, some of them are. Some of them are just not worth it, even when they're cheap. It's even worse when they're expensive, because then it's really not worth it. Then you're like, what the fuck did I just spend all that money on? Anyhow, onwards and upwards, right? So, got my ticket at the box office, went inside, got in line, got in the queue. It looked like, it's one of the busier nights, right? We're right around Halloween. So I did happen to speak to Rich, and he said he's been varying the size of the lines. He tries to keep the line or the queue small, like less people, ideally 4. But on super mad busy nights like Halloween and whatnot, he increases the size to 6, which is, for me, a little larger than I would like. But me being the ideal being, either whatever your group is or 4 max if they're going to pair you up with people. But I understand. I do understand. But the timing is still fine. The timing is still really good. It was late, so I was actually able to squeak in without a big group, which was nice. And their timing is always excellent. They don't look to rush people through, right? They're not throwing groups of 12 in. I mean, if you're in a group and your group is 12 and you want to go in together as 12, which I think is fucking retarded, but if that's what you want to do, I'm sure they'll let you do it. For me, smaller group the better, because there are certain size groups where you'll trigger something and it'll go off towards the 3rd or 4th person in your group. But if the group is too large, the people at the end aren't going to get to see anything. They're going to get to see everything resetting. Maybe if the group's large enough, they'll get to see it re-trigger, like we see when we have places that make us conga line. But for the most part, you want to keep the groups kind of small. So spacing, again, which is one of my big pet peeves, is always excellent over there. It's not random, it's timed, and it's timed well enough to give the people in front enough time to go, and the people behind enough time that they shouldn't catch up to you. Now, people being the X factor, right? If you have a really slow group in front of you and a really fast group behind you, you're all going to end up sandwiched together. That is the human factor. But another one of the things that I like about Brighton, that a lot of places don't have, is they actually have choke points in the haunt, which I like. It's you get to a certain area and there's something to stop you down, slow you down or stop you. Like when you get through the initial section of Brighton, you get to the asylum, and that is a choke point where they will stop you and then put the groups through again. So if you do manage to get stopped up in a conga line, at least you have the time to reset it. You have the opportunity, hopefully, to not be on top of the people that you were just on top of. Anyhow, so Brighton Asylum is your standard fare haunted house. There's no hayride. There's no dark room. It is a house and then a second house. So they have the first house downstairs on the ground floor, second house upstairs. The building looks like a warehouse type building. So there is no facade. There is nothing to get you kind of into the mood of like, what am I going into or where am I, right? So I think it'd be cool if there was a facade. There is not. Doesn't take away from anything. Not a big deal. So you start out and you go in and you go through, you get to the asylum, you go through the asylum. I'm not going to give you a play-by-play on exactly what happens, but I will tell you that this year, the ground floor of Brighton Asylum, first of all, the sets in there are always beautiful, like really, really well done sets. There's a good mix of human and animatronic and just, static standees. The dark and light, there's good use of lighting. I'm going to say right now that they did this year have the best use of that swampy fog effect that I've seen this year. A lot of places had it where it was so open that the fog was dissipating. You can really see right through to your toes. And that's kind of not what that the whole effect is, to have it in an enclosed area with the laser so that it looks like you're walking through like a swamp or water, and then you can have people pop right up out of the water and scare the shit out of people because you can't see them if it's done right. And Brighton did it right this year, and it's the only one that I saw that did it right. So kudos to you for that. Like, how do I tell you stuff without ruining it? There were definitely definitely new sections that I saw that were done. Things that I hadn't seen in any year before, that were very impressive, well done. The costuming on all of the characters inside the haunt are appropriate. A lot of them are based more along the people stuck in an asylum or escaped from an asylum, or mad scientist kind of stuff. But all appropriate for the areas that they're in. Nothing like standing out. Nothing really cheap looking like a Halloween mask. Some of the people have, some light prosthetics, contacts, things of that nature. I did not see my boy Frankie, who I was hoping to see. I mean, I really enjoy seeing Frankie, but apparently he had the night off. So next year, buddy, or maybe one of the other haunts if I decide to go to them. However, back at it. So the sets there are basically movie quality. The costuming is great. The makeup is great. Most of it is what you would call like film ready. Some of it is not, but those people are usually relegated to like one of the drop screens or something. They're behind something like that where they're just there for a quick fright. What really impressed me this year about Brighton Asylum is the flow. Like literally, except for the very end of the haunt, the first floor, the very end of the first part of the haunt, the flow was near perfect. You started and you went through a journey, and the journey took you through the whole place, how you got to the asylum and through the asylum and out of the asylum, and up until that very last part, it was perfect. The flow was perfect. It was one concurrent idea without being one. It was one idea but different things in the same idea. You get what I'm saying? Like you started your journey and how you got into the asylum and how you got, and then you got out, and where it was one continuous journey. And I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that it wasn't me going from a haunted house into a swamp, into a area with fucking dinosaurs. Now, here are the hillbillies, and it's just parts that really have no connection. Everything in this haunt on the first floor is actually connected now, except for the very last part, which I did happen to speak to the owner afterwards, and he said that was something they'd been meaning to get rid of, but didn't have enough time to do this year. But it is definitely on the chopping block. So if that end piece is gone and something else replaces it, you may have like a very near perfect haunt, because I think it was very near perfect as it was. Now, moving on, we'll move on to the second floor, right? The second floor is, again, absolutely beautiful. I remember a few years ago when they first opened it, I was stunned with how good looking it was. And that's when there were still parts of the asylum that were like, it's okay, whatever. Or some of the blinding wasn't great in the asylum. Or, you could actually kind of get lost and go through a way you shouldn't have been able to go through. Like, the asylum's really come a long way. And they've always been great. They've always been excellent. But a lot of the problems that I've discussed, and I'm not going to say that, here they are, they're watching my fucking channel, so they're listening to what we say and they're fixing shit. They've addressed the problems. However they did it on their own, most likely. Maybe they knew certain things were a problem, but they've addressed them and gotten better over the years. So when they built the second floor is absolutely gorgeous. And again, went up, started the second floor, great timing, great costuming. The second floor, there were not as many actors as I would have liked to have seen up there. It felt a little bit empty. And I did not notice very many changes. I did notice an area that they were definitely going to change, because it was just kind of big and empty. And again, when I spoke to the owner, they ran out of time, so they just had to kind of put back what was going to be taken out and replaced. That one, the flow is really good, again, until you get to a certain point, which it just kind of like doesn't fit with the flow of the whole thing, and then you kind of get back into the flow, and it's like what happened, like how, and then the end. So again, without ruining anything, you're in what is basically a very traditional, a very trad haunted house style house, and then at some point you're in what looks like a hospital kind of area, and then you're back into the house. So it's a little jarring. And then at the end of the house, there's a bunch of stuff, and it's kind of like a toxic escape kind of thing, which kind of fits more than the other part. But anyway, I'm fucking rambling. Again, the costuming on the people upstairs is great. There were, places you had to, I won't say crawl through, but at least, squat and walk through. There were floors that were, there were steps, different levels. There were floors that are kind of tilted. I enjoy all of that stuff. I think it really adds a lot to the experience. I also like sliding floors and the bouncy floors. That stuff was not there. But, I enjoy things like that. It's interesting. It's fresh. It's something different. Yeah, really cool. Again, animatronics and human beings upstairs. I saw, after the haunt, I didn't notice any food. But I did notice what appeared to be an ice cream truck. Now, I don't know if the ice cream truck sold food or not. They might have. But, that was the only, food type of concession. They also now have which they've had for, a year or two. They have a gift shop area, which does have merch. They have T-shirts for the haunt, at least 4 or 5 different T-shirts and other things in there. So that's always great to see. I think that's cool. Like, if I really enjoy a place, I'd like to have a T-shirt or a hoodie or whatever. So, and it's a good way to make some extra money for the haunt anyway. T-shirts don't cost a ton. Sweatshirts don't cost a ton. It's an item that you can get some money back from, and as long as you're going to put that money back in your haunt, it was great. So now, bathrooms are typical porta potties, yeah. What did I like? My favorite thing is the flow. It fucking flowed. And just coming back from Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, which was one continuous theme and the whole thing flowed, to come back and go through Brighton and have Brighton absolutely go through the whole thing and everything just kind of flowed together. Fantastic. I mean, I was super impressed with the Chippewa Lake Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. And to see my local haunt, one of my local haunts, not doing the same thing, not by any means, but actually having that continuous flow, getting their house to the point that it just flows naturally from one part to another. Fucking fantastic. Made me super happy. What didn't I like? I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more actors. Now, it could be that it was after Halloween, right? It was November 1st. So, that could be why there were less actors there than, to me, would be ideal. People do get sick. They don't come to work, what have you. So that's what I would like to see. Also, of course, I'd like to see continuously small groups. I understand why you'd make a group of 6. It happens. You get really busy. You don't want to be there until 3 a.m, right? People are always showing up late, trying to fucking weasel their way in. But, at the end of the day, I think smaller groups are better. That's the one thing I miss about Bane. Bane would put you in max of 2, and then they'd split you up, which was fucking great, right? That's going to increase the scare factor. That's going to take people who feel comfortable and make them uncomfortable. That's going to take you out of the, safe in a pack kind of mentality, which I think a lot of people get. So what do they do better or worse? They have great sets, great costuming. That's better than a lot of haunts. 13th Hour, also in Wharton, has great sets, great costuming. You know, lucky to have a couple really good haunts that are local. You know, what would I change? Things that they said they're going to change. The end of the very end of the ground floor. Keep that flow going right until you walk out those doors. And on the second floor, I personally, I would keep that haunted house vibe going. I would keep that house, that old Gothic mansion thing going. Maybe add in some vampire kind of element or something like that, or you know. But I would keep it, again, keep it continuous, keep the flow going. You know, maybe call it something else other than Brighton Asylum. You know, the Caretaker's Manor or what have you, whatever the fuck. But I mean, really, I'm nitpicking at this point. You know, I'm really nitpicking. Me saying, oh, I do this, I do that, or whatever. I mean, we're dealing with a haunt that's fucking fantastic. And I'm just looking for, like, what could I really change? You know, like, you know, how much more could I polish it to make it shine, like, so that the shine would blind you, you know? Or maybe you don't know, but I think you know. Anyway, so I've rambled on long enough. I've bullshitted around long enough. Oh, and by the way, just to swing back, let's circle back. Just to circle back, I think that's why the parking lot was fairly full. Was I believe everybody was enjoying some of the other things they had to do there, the games, the pictures, the museum, and whatnot, because the line was way shorter than the amount of cars taking up the lot. You know, when I see that many cars in the lot, the line is usually fucking retarded. And the line wasn't. It was pretty short, which I was happy about. So I can only assume that all those people were doing other things, which is good because that means that expanding and adding all that extra stuff hopefully is paying off, right? Anyhow, not only because I've met the owner, but because I like to see these businesses flourish, right? The more haunts we have, the better they do, the more they push themselves to be better, and the more money they make, the better it is for the whole industry, the better it is for us, the haunt enthusiast who likes to go to these places, because then there will be more places for us to go. If people can think that, you know, people think they can turn something into a viable business where they're going to make money, they'll do it. And hopefully they don't rest on their laurels and do shit like some of the big name ones, who I won't mention, Headless Horseman, excuse me, rest on their laurels and just, you know, capitalize on their name and not really improve anything, you know, or potentially even get worse. Anyhow, back to Brighton Asylum. So Brighton Asylum for the 2024 season, this is why I'm rambling, because it's really fucking late. Brighton Asylum for the 2024 season, my review, Haunt Nation's review, your source, is going to be, I was leaning a little higher, but I'm going to go with a solid 9.0. Fucking fantastic haunt. The bottom is nearly flawless. The top is the only thing that kept it from being a 9.5. I was definitely leaning towards a 9.5 as I got out of the bottom. When I went through the top, the sparsity of actors up top, the fact that a lot of it hadn't changed the area that was supposed to change, which I didn't know at the time, was unchanged, and just like the jarringness after going through the amazing flow of the bottom and then going through a couple areas that kind of didn't fit in with the whole rest of the theme, and you know, back and forth, that's what brought it down for me. Now, had we done it in reverse, had I done the top floor first and then the asylum second, who knows, right? You want to leave everybody with the best impression possible, but you can't. It's, you know, bottom floor first, yes, top floor second, and that's how that is. But 9.0, fantastic fucking haunt. Get your fucking ass to Brighton Asylum, either for their Christmas or for their halfway to Halloween, or just wait and just savor just hold on to it, and then next fucking season when it opens, just go and enjoy it, because you fucking will enjoy it. And you'll probably enjoy it even more if they do the updates that I think they're going to do. Again, one of the things I love about that haunt is they're always changing, they're always updating. Same thing with 13th Hour and Morton. Always changing, always updating, always adding, always trying to make the experience better. So on that note, motherfuckers, I am Ant. You guys are you. This is Haunt Nation. And I'll be back with either some kind of movie review or escape room review or something. But we're not done. And I will not leave you hanging until next season. Okay, till then, see ya.